Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining our webinar. Now, before I pass the virtual microphone, so to speak, to my colleague Catalin, I just wanted to give you some information with regard to how everything will be handled. So the first one, because I already saw that somebody asked. So a recording of the webinar will be available starting tomorrow. We'll send it via email to all those who registered for the training, but we'll also upload it to all our social media channels. So you'll be able to view it anywhere. The second thing we wanted to talk to you about is because we want to make the webinar a bit more interactive. We will be having some questions throughout the webinar. So in order for this to go as smooth as possible, please keep a mobile phone nearby and have a browser open, because this is the way the solution we're using works. And last but not least, if you have any sort of questions or information about anything presented during the webinar by Catalin, write them down, because we will be having a Q&A session at the end. So this is pretty much it from my side. Catalin, you have the reins of the webinar.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Alex, thank you for introducing me. Thanks for joining my webinar. Welcome. As my colleague previously mentioned, we'll start by providing you some question. So please, as Alex was saying, please watch your phone, and we have an introductory question.
Yeah, so just go as you see in the presentation to menti.com and insert that code 9983.
99. You have here the code. We'd like first to know something about you, about if you have previously used some JUnit version.
It seems that the presentation moved a bit faster. I think you can reload it, Catalin.
Okay, let me. Nobody was able to answer. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Have here. Which testing framework do you use the most? Have 10 more seconds. Okay, now it is fine. So we have people that use the JUnit 4, mostly JUnit 5. Some people that didn't use any of them. Let's have a look at our topic. It is about migrating from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. I am Cătălin Tudose. I am currently acting as Java and Web Technologies expert at Luxoft Romania. I am also the author of the book JUnit in Action, so right on the topic of our meeting. What we would like to tell you is how to quickly and efficiently move from working with JUnit 4 to working with the JUnit 5, which is the latest version and which comes with really, really nice features. Why this step was taken from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5, and which is the big change? One important thing to mention from the very beginning is the change in architecture. JUnit 4 was a very popular tool, but it had some monolithic architecture. So there was one single jar. Everyone was using it. It was not prepared for working with external tools, with build tools, with IDEs, and people that were developing those IDEs or build tools needed to tightly coupled to the JUnit jar by entering inside its internals with the help of reflection. And this is efficient but not nice because it is breaking encapsulation. And if you access some private variable or method from inside a project, that project will not be able to change its internals any longer. JUnit 5 came with this big step in changing the architecture with a modular architecture. Said, I would like to divide my way of working, and I'm providing here 3 important modules: JUnit Platform, JUnit Jupyter, and JUnit Vintage. JUnit Platform is in fact the runner that is executing the tests. JUnit Jupyter is the API for allowing the programmer to work and develop the tests, while JUnit Vintage makes sure that we have backwards compatibility, which is really important. So we have to know that what was working for previous versions of JUnit 5, for example, JUnit 4, is still working, and this module ensures this thing. And in order to make the demonstration, prepared here some features that we are going to compare about how they were working on JUnit 4, how we can make the big step to JUnit 5. We have here some simple code that we are going to test with the help of both JUnit 4 and JUnit 5 to make the comparison. And let's first have a look at what we call in JUnit 4 categories and how this is changed to JUnit 5. We would like to group the tests in order to be able to run a set of them or another set of them. And here the JUnit 4 categories were of help. But we had a little work to do. You see here that we are defining this interface individual tests, and we are defining this interface repository tests. We come here and say, okay, let's group these tests. This test belongs to individual test category. This test belongs to both categories. So when I would like to run them, I go here to Suite. These are all JUnit 4 tests. And here I say, yes, run the tests from these classes, but include only repository tests. So if I go here and I run them, I see that even if I have these 2 classes, I am running only the tests from here because these belong to the repository test category. So this is a way of dividing things. We also have this individual test when we say run only the individual tests. And these customers will be included because they have individual tests. The other category will also be included because we have this category. I may have the flexibility to say exclude this category, and if I run the tests from both these classes and I exclude repository tests, I will see here that only this test is running. So I am able to do these things, but we have to see that it comes at some price. So in order to do this, we have to define these interfaces, to use them to annotate with category here and with category there, and to come with our own suites and configuration and run with categories.class. So this is pretty much work to do and is not so flexible. And here comes JUnit 5 and says, I can provide some better offer. And instead of defining so many interfaces and classes, just annotate your tests with this tag annotation and say these are individual tests and the other ones are repository tests. And you will be able to make some selection of working with them. Let me move here because I need access to this. Edit configuration. I may go here to introduce this configuration to run tag tests. And I say here, yes, run this test, but run only individual tests. I write here expression. And if I run this individual test, you will see here that from our package, only these ones annotated with individual, meaning these ones are run. Or I may go and change, say, my category now is now a repository. Yes, these ones. And if I run here from IntelliJ IDE, I will address only the other ones test. This is from the IDE, but we also have the possibility to work flexibly at the level of executing the whole suite of tests. So if I go here and I say, let's run everything, I execute mvn clean install, I will get here, I'm expecting to be able to run all the tests from here. So let's wait to see. I'm running the test with the help of Maven. So this may be done also on the continuous integration machine. So you see, I'm executing here all tests in number 23. But I have the possibility to configure here at the level of the pom.xml and to say, let's provide here some configuration. So that you will include the individual, will exclude the repository. This is the POM XML that is passed to the Maven. And now I go here and I say, let's rerun the test. I haven't touched the code. I'm working only at the level of the Maven configuration. Let's see. Test that. So we have only one test that is run. Why? Because this is what the configuration tells me, and there is only one individual test here. So I have this flexibility to choose which test to run, but much more in a much more convenient way. No code changes, no interfaces, no suites, just at the declarative level or at the configuration level. Okay, let's see some more about how we can value JUnit 5. We have the possibility to run parameterized tests. This is already existing in JUnit 4. And if I go here, say, let's run this parameterized test. This is JUnit 4. I have to annotate with this parameterized. And this is my test. You see. And I need to provide this method, static method, annotated with parameters that will tell me, yes, you have to run this test. And when you run this test, I will take this parameter and use it here in the constructor. I will take this parameter, I will use here in the constructor, and with this input text and with this expected result, I'm going to run here. Test, let's run it. Takes a few seconds. So you see, we are running this parameterized test with check 3 parameters and expecting result 3. We are JUnit in action and expecting result 3. It works, but there is pretty much work to do here. I have to come with this method and always go at the level of the code. Let's see the alternatives in JUnit 5. We have more possibilities to work with JUnit 5 with parameterized tests. First of all, I am using this parameterized test annotation. And you see here, value source, this is exactly what I'm passing here. And you see that this is the amount of code that I need to run here, while this is the amount of code that I need to write here. Much shorter code in JUnit 5. Yes. But that's not all about parameterized tests, because I have the possibility to provide some enum here as entering parameter and say, yes, you should run this parameterized test on all the instances of this enum, or on the instances of this enum, this one and this one, or on the instances of this enum by excluding this one. So I can provide an enum or some instances of the enum as parameters of the test. Or even more, I can go here and say, yes, please provide this CSV source as input of the parameterized test. So for unit testing, I'm expecting 2 words. For JUnit in action, I'm expecting 3 words. For write solid Java code, I'm expecting 4 words. It's comma separated value format. Let's run it. Or even more, I don't want to mix the input data with the test itself, and I'm separating here using this CSV file source. Let's go here, and I'm separating the input data and the code. The code remains still short, but also clean, not mixed with data, and I'm separating these concerns. So you see that in JUnit 5, I have much more possibilities that in JUnit 4. The code for parameterized tests is shorter, easier to write, and easier to maintain. Okay, what else do we have as possibilities to change? We have the rules that have been replaced by extensions in JUnit 5, or we have some particular rules that work easier in JUnit 5. What I'm saying here, I have a rule to expect some exceptions. I'm trying to write tests that are really expecting some exceptions. I'm testing some small calculator here, have these operations. Square root may throw an exception if I'm passing a negative value. Divide may throw an exception if I'm passing 0 here. And if I'm trying to test this in JUnit 4, I say, okay, I start with this expected exception dot none. So initially, I'm not expecting anything. I annotate with rule. Then I have, when I start the test, you see that I have to build, to construct the exception that I am waiting for. Expect illegal argument exception with this message, or expect arithmetic exception with this message. Of course, it works in JUnit 4, but we want a better way, and JUnit 5 provides it to us. About working with exception, you see here, I'm no longer coming with rules. I don't make this configuration for this expected exception, but I'm directly saying, if you execute, and I'm providing here this lambda expression, then you expect this assert throws and this message. If you're executing divide 1 to 0, you're expecting arithmetic exception and this message. Let's test it. Okay, great. So you see, we have more flexible things and shorter to write. And we would like to demonstrate here how we move from using a temporary folder. Sometimes during our test, we need to construct some folder. And to say it is temporary, it will be present in your temp dir, and at the end of the test, you have to remove it. In JUnit 4, I need also to use a rule and to say here, call this constructor of temporary folder. When the test is currently executing, the created file exists. When the test is done, the file no longer exists. I have a better way in JUnit 5 when I need only to just say annotate it with temp div here. Yes. No more explicit constructor calling. Shorter to use. And of course, I am testing that during the execution of the test, the folder exists. After the execution of the test, the file and the folder were removed. That indeed it is temporary. We have here some new possibility of JUnit 5. It was not existing in JUnit 4, but it is worth considering. Just to remind you that we demonstrated how to move from categories to tags in from JUnit 4 categories to JUnit 5 tags, and to forget about these suites, to replace the rules from JUnit 4, to move from the parameterized tests to shorter and more flexible parameterized tests in JUnit 5. One more thing that we'll demonstrate here is about repeated tests. They did not exist in JUnit 4. So we don't have some starting point. Let's say here that we are repeating this test 5 times. Yes. And for the sake of the test, we are trying to add here something in a set, and we are trying to add here something in a list. And we check that the set will always have size 1, while the size of the list will always be the current repetition. If I go here, yes, you see, I'm also using this nice annotations from JUnit 5. List contains, first execution, list contains 1 element, set contains 1 element, list contains 2 elements, set contains 1 element, fifth execution, list contains 5 elements, set contains 1 element. So demonstrated that the test, repeated tests that works on this data structure is working fine. So you may need to use some repeat tests if some conditions may change between their execution. This was an introductory presentation of the features of JUnit 5 compared to possible existing features of JUnit 4 and how to migrate them. It's time for some new tests. So watch your phones. This time there are correct answers and wrong answers, no longer just a test. So the next question that you will have to answer is this one: how do the architectures of JUnit 4 and JUnit 5 look like? It's based on what we have just discussed. Yes, everyone knows that JUnit 4 is monolithic and JUnit 5 is modular. I was saying that this is one big step. Okay. We have one more question for now. This is fresh in your memory. A few more seconds. Only JUnit 5 is providing the functionality of repeated tests. This is what I have just demonstrated. Okay, so let's move forward to provide some demonstration of moving an effective project from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. Just to tell you what it is about, it is a company which is managing flights and passengers, and it is maintaining some policy for adding and for removing the passengers to a flight. We say here, if we would like to add a passenger to a flight, if the flight is economy, okay, you can add him or her. If the flight is not economy, you have to check if the passenger is VIP, and only the VIP passengers are admitted. And for removing the passenger from a flight, yes, we also maintain some policy. If the passenger is VIP, we reject the request. We cannot remove the passenger from the flight. Otherwise, we may remove the passenger, no problem. So we have to maintain this policy. It's something simple. This is some input code that I'm having here. By the way, you will be able to access here on GitHub the code for this presentation. Everything that we discuss here, I will go back, but in GitHub, on my GitHub account, we're saying that yes, we have some passenger, and we have this abstract class flight that is extended by business flight and economy flight. And here we implement the policies of how to add and remove the passengers. We have to test two kinds of passengers with two kinds of flights. So if we look here, We wrote here some unit tests, 1, 2, 3, 4, because 2 multiplied by 2, 2 kinds of passengers multiplied by 2 kinds of flights is 4. You see here, I'm testing economy flight with regular passenger. I am testing economy flight with VIP passenger. Business flight with VIP passenger, business flight with regular passenger. So I have this full coverage of the possibilities. Tests are fine, but there are some problems to bring you to the attention. They are not so easy to read. You have to, what's this test, business flight, VIP passenger? Yes, but I have to write some long name of the method, and I don't know what I'm expecting from here. And I will keep this version as a witness. And I have here a copy of this. Yes. And I will start to work on it to move it from JUnit 4 to JUnit 5. It is just like the other one here. What I need to do is, first of all, I need some to replace some dependencies. You see here that I'm having this JUnit 4 dependency. First of all, I will replace this JUnit 4 dependency with the JUnit 5 dependencies. I am pressing here this Maven button from the IntelliJ IDE, and I will go here, and I will say, okay, I will no longer use the JUnit for annotation and the JUnit 5 assertions, but I will import the JUnit 5 test method, test annotation, and the assert equals from JUnit 5. You see here that even if they are similar, this test from JUnit 4 and this test from JUnit 5, they belong to different packages. This assert equals from JUnit 4 and this assert equals from JUnit 5. They belong to different packages, so that they may coexist for some time in a same project, because migration is not instantaneous. You may start to migrate some of the tests, but some other may have remained with JUnit 4. And I'm running this test. They are good, but for the moment we do not see any change in the way they are displayed. Is this everything? Of course not. We are going to do much more, and I can do something that is really nice provided by JUnit 5. I can use this nested new annotation. See? I can nest a test inside another test, just like we are using nested classes in Java from the early versions of Java. But here we are inserting a nested test, and I will write here a class economy flight test. And I will say, let's group these things that go together, because I have a logical grouping of them. I have economy flight and business flight. I have regular passenger and VIP passenger. So let's go here, and for the moment, just take this ones and put them here. And I will say here, I would like to transmit something, some information. With display name. given an economy flight. I am provided an economy flight and I would like to nicely tell this, not just to see those names of the methods. I moved these two methods here. And I say, okay, I have an economy flight. I'm duplicating things here. Let's take this local variable and to make it some field of this class, I will make it private. And I say, okay, given an economy flight, and I think I may go further with the nesting. Class regular passenger test. I am providing here this. Let me take this information from here. I will make it a field. And I will say here, display name. When we have a regular passenger. And I can do something more here besides removing this public because JUnit 5 no longer needs only public methods, only public test methods. It may also execute the ones with default. I will also use here display name. Then you can add and remove him from the economy flight. Everything that I did here was in the spirit of JUnit 5. Let's run again all those tests to see how things are looking like now and to compare them with how they were looking like in JUnit 4. Just here, when we made a change, I can read the information and the test in plain English or in plain whatever language you would like. Given an economy flight, when we have a regular passenger, then you can add and remove him from the economy flight. So things look like this. Tests are better organized. They are clearly related here using nested tests. And besides this, I can add some information to nicely communicate with the end user. What is it about? What are you testing? So given some conditions, when I do something, I have some action, then something will happen. Yes, I can do the same for the other tests. But I would like to demonstrate something more about the possibility to use assert all. I will use this assert all here. This is a method introduced by JUnit 5. I'm importing it. And in order to use it, I need to adjust a little this test. I will press here Alt, Shift, and my mouse. And I am using this nice feature of IntelliJ IDE, which is called multi-caret. So you see that I am able to simultaneously write the same things on all lines. And I will move here and I will press again Alt, Shift, mouse. And I will make the change inside all lines. And I have quickly moved to introduce this assert all. Let's run it, and then you may ask yourself, what's the big deal? Why to use this assert all? Assert all, as the name says, will verify everything from these assertions. It means that if something goes wrong here, this assertion will also be executed. Let's prove it. So let's change at the level of the last two assertions to run this airport test again. It fails, of course, but if we look here, we see it failed, expected false, actual true, it failed, expected 1, actual 0. So it verified both things here. If we do the same thing, for example, here, and I'm changing these two assertions from a test without having assert all, let's execute again. Yes, it failed, but it stopped at the first failed assertion. So it is more reliable in most cases to execute all assertions and to group them with this assert all. If something fails, your test will not stop, but the next assertions will be executed. Let's make the tests pass again. Run them again. And I will emphasize again the difference between where we started from. You may see here in our witness everything, all 4 tests. And I moved only one of the tests to this hierarchical possibility provided by the nested annotation, by the display name annotation to read, given an economy flight, when we have a regular passenger, then you can add and remove him from the economy flight. So it is just reading the behavior of the application and what we expect from the tests. And this is really interactive and provides support for whoever is executing the tests. As we are approaching the end of the talk, we move back here to our questions. We still have 2 more, so please watch your phones. 2 more questions based on this last part. Okay, a little more time here. So you have 3 alternatives to answer this question about inner class test in JUnit 5. 3 more seconds. Yes, of course, is the nested annotation. 1 more question. Customized text for a JUnit 5 test. Let's see which is the annotation that is allowing us to do this. Okay, of course, display name. So this concluded our presentation. Just to display this last slide, and for questions you may write in the chat, and Alex will read them loudly so that I can answer, or will provide them by chat, however.
Thank you so much, Cătălin. Also, while you're writing your questions, if you could please take a bit of time and complete our feedback form. It really helps us get ready for our next webinars, choose potential subjects, see what we could do better. So I just gave you the link in the chat. It's 5 questions. It doesn't take more than 15-20 seconds, but it really helps us improve our webinars. So yeah, we're looking forward to your questions. You can put them in the chat to everyone, and Cătălin will help you with the answer. Yes, we have one from Julius, Cătălin.
From Julius Schwarzenberg from the Netherlands. What about nicer assertions? Swear by assert J myself. Does JUnit 5 provide anything special in this regard? You can use JUnit 5 in combination with other libraries like assert J or like Hamcrest. The assert that method that was used in JUnit 4 was removed this time. This is something that I didn't mention. It was removed because they decided to rely exactly on these assertions, nice assertions that are provided by libraries like assert J or like Hamcrest, and say, okay, you would like to assert that and to provide some complex condition. Yes, but we should rather use the possibilities of the already existing libraries because they are doing a great job. So in this case, we may say here that exactly JUnit 5 is cooperating and is relying on this nice possibilities of some external libraries. Other questions? I remind you that you may find here, let me write in the chat, GitHub, my repository, so everyone can get access to this. We have another question. How is JUnit 5 working with Mockito in general? So JUnit 5, as any unit testing library, as well as like JUnit 4, first focuses on testing the units, the methods or the classes, to ensure what we understand as first level test unit testing. If we want to do more about integration testing, and in most cases you will need to work with external resources that at least for some time you are needing to mock, JUnit 5 works, of course, with Mockito and with other external frameworks like EasyMock, like PowerMock, like JMock, so they really integrate no problem. So you may use them together in the same project. Most likely you will choose Mockito. From my knowledge at this time is the most popular one. So you may mock some external dependencies. You may instruct your mock to provide some answers to some particular calls, and then you may test what you're expecting. Anything else?
Yeah, so I don't think we have any more questions. Anyhow, if there's something you remember, or maybe you jotted down a question and forgot it, so if you remember it, you can write to us on our email address on the website, and we'll try and answer. Again, just a quick reminder to take a bit of time and complete our feedback form. So, and another reminder, of course, that this recording will be available to everybody during the next couple of days. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time and participating. Cătălin, thank you as well for the
Thank you. So looking forward for next sessions.
Thank you.
Bye bye for now.